Welcome to the SPEAKPact podcast, where high-performing speakers and the producers who hire them merge to give you the insider secrets to the lucrative speaking industry. Antoniette Roze, your podcast host and celebrated speaker agent, unveils insider success strategies. Discover a nexus of thought leaders and bookers, maximizing your potential in each and every episode. Your ticket to ultimate speaking success begins right here. Catch the transformative insights waiting for you on the SPEAKPact podcast, hosted by the industry powerhouse herself, Antoniette Roze.
Welcome back to SpeakPact. Today we have Lisa Apolinski in the house. Thank you for being with us, Lisa.
Thank you for having me, Antoniette.
Well, I know that you are a brand expert, and one of the things I really love about your approach is you emphasize authority quite a bit. And is authority claimed? Is it earned? Is it a blend of everything? So we're going to go in to all of that, and specifically why that matters to speakers and how it can get them booked on more gigs if they can really kind of master this concept. So first of all, what got you into brand development and super interested in the whole concept of building one's persona in a very authoritative way?
Yes. So when I think back on my career, and my career started, I was a stock person and a cashier in our family business. So you're going way back. We're going in the way back machine. And my dad was an expert at authority and personal brand. And I didn't recognize it at the time, but he was the go-to in the neighborhood. If people had a question about health, medication, they would go to my dad. And that legacy lasted long after he sold the business. The drugstore that we owned is still there 40 years later, with all the Walgreens and the CVSs that have popped up.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah, this little neighborhood store is still there and still thriving because the owner recognized, okay, I need to continue this legacy. And going into my corporate career, where I started to do some of my speaking, again, I just thought this was common practice, that people would just have an area of genius and claim it and make sure everyone knew it. And that, to me, an area of genius is something that you innately know. It's something that you just have within your being. It's a confidence that you have, and an expertise and a knowledge base and an intuition. And I thought everyone did this, and I found out
because you grew up with it, so to you it was common.
Yeah,
right. But
absolutely.
Us others who didn't grow up in that environment, it's not really a given. How do you, number one, recognize that, and then number two, know what yours are? Because we're all great at a lot of things. How do you hone it?
Yeah. Yes. So, and I want to talk about it through the lens of getting on a stage, right? Because that's what we're going for here. We want to get booked for paid speaking gigs. So when you understand your area of genius, it has to relate to the problem that your audience needs solved. And again, we talked about you're probably good at a lot of different things, but what would cause a meeting planner to throw $5,000 to $10,000 at you or more to stand on a stage and talk to a group of people that they have gathered together? And it's that 3 a.m. problem that those attendees will stop what they're doing at the conference and go to that session to hear you talk about how you solve it.
And 3 a.m. problem, that means what's keeping them awake at night, right?
That's right. It's never, no one wakes up in the middle of the night and says, I need a new website. Or wakes up in the middle of the night and says, I need a new LinkedIn profile. That's not a thing. They wake up in the middle of the night and say, oh my gosh, I am not going to hit my numbers for the month. Oh my gosh, Where am I going to get this lead generation? Oh my gosh, how am I going to develop this strategy so that I get more business in or I get more visibility? Whatever that is, that's the 3 a.m. problem that you want to get to the core of. And part of that 3 a.m. problem is the solution that you provide. And I don't like language. Cheaper, better, faster. No, no, no. That's AI language. We are not AI. We are absolute authorities in what we do. We are transformative. We are disruptive. We complete something. We make it go away altogether. And that's
So,
what
okay,
people will pay
let's
for.
camp out there for a second. So they're all adjectives. So what's the difference between cheaper, better, faster versus what Lisa Apolinski's superpower is? She master motivator, right? Master brand. Like how let's talk a little bit like how do we know? How do we know what we are as opposed to every other person in our niche?
You ask. You
Mm,
ask your clients, you ask the audience, what about this process was transformative for you? So it's having the conversation with your attendees and not trying to internally figure it out. And oftentimes it is this small thing that you do that you think it's common knowledge, everyone does it. And it's not. It's that nugget of wisdom that you take as a throwaway that everyone else is going to go, oh my God, that's gold. How do I work with you? And that's where we're trying to lead to, where you think, well, everybody should do this. Like you said at the beginning, well, you grew up with it and you thought everybody does this. And that wasn't the case. And that became my area of genius.
mm, I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is if you can't identify it yourself or you feel like you might know, but you're not 100% sure, just basically ask those, I'm assuming, ask those who not only know and love you, but maybe a client. Hey, what made you pick me over all the others that I know you were not, you were interviewing or considering? It
Exactly.
was ABC, right?
Yeah. And at the end of the engagement, because again, to me, when you're on stage, it's a mini engagement. It's a mini coaching and consulting engagement with
Yeah.
just a lot of touch points, right? A lot of people. Ask the question of, was this helpful? What about it was helpful? What was the one thing you got out of it that you thought, oh my gosh, this was worth my time, my resources, my money? And write those things down. That language will get reflected over and over and over. And then you know you're onto something.
You bring up a really great point, Lisa. Speakers are always wanting to be videoed as they talk, and they should be. That's amazing B-roll. That's amazing data gathering. That's really, really important. And even if it's not being professionally videotaped, or even if it is, I'd set up a little tripod with a phone camera. We all have 5 extra phones we no longer use. So set up one of those, um, pointing at you, but set up another one pointing at the audience.
Yep.
Rarely does
Yeah.
anybody do that.
Yeah.
And that is golden data right there. When are
God.
people super engaged? When are they laughing? When are they crying? When are they dozing off? Right?
Right.
That is
Oh,
just
and when are they
incredible
leaning
data.
in, right? That
Mhm.
leaning in language is also a great indication that what you're saying is not only resonating, but is transforming them because they're like, oh my God, I need more. Give me more. Give me more. And that's what we want to look for. Absolutely. And it's hard.
And
It's hard to do it on stage, right? Because you got shining lights and you're trying to do your talk, and maybe you see only the front row. What about the people in the back that could be disengaged and suddenly are on the edge of their seat, waiting to hear what you were going to say?
yes, absolutely. That brings me to another point along these lines of really understanding what your authority is, what sets you apart. And that is announced from stage. A lot of speakers will wait until there's a break and stand and hope somebody's going to want to come up and shake their hand. But why not make a formal invitation? Hey, I'm going to be sticking around for lunchtime. I would love to shake your hand. Come and find me. I'm going to be in this XYZ area. That is golden opportunity because
Oh,
every
absolutely.
speaking engagement, like you said, is data. It's a learning opportunity. I have this right here to always show it. And I know that a lot of listeners are listening, not necessarily seeing this, but this is like $20 on Amazon. It's called an HD microphone kit, and it actually goes right on your phone. And so when somebody comes up and shakes your hand and they have nice things to say, just come out and ask, hey, I am actually expanding this talk. If you don't mind, I'd love to turn my phone on and just hear your honest feedback on this talk,
Yeah.
what you might like to see more of, what you loved, and then let them just talk. Just let them go for it.
Yep.
And then after do this, because otherwise they're on the spot and they think they have to say certain things. Um, oh my goodness, there was gold in there. Thank you for that. Do you mind if maybe I use a clip or two? And some, oh no, go ahead. Great. Well, and you're still rolling. State your
Right.
first name and your position, or state your first name and your state. Now you don't even need a signed release because you have it videotaped. But it's also a
Absolutely.
really natural way to get that honest feedback, because once you put a camera on somebody and say, hey, I'd like some feedback for my next promotion, they're not going to give you that raw, authentic
Right.
feedback like they would if they just really believe, which is true. You really just want raw, authentic feedback. How did
Yeah.
I do? And in that, you find those little gold nuggets that you may not see. You're too blind to see. You're too close to see for
Right.
yourself.
Right. And leaders always lead. Authorities always practice authority power. I believe that hands down. And when you're out with the audience, and it really, I got to say this, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute. It creams my corn when keynote speakers talk and they immediately leave and rush for the airport.
So wrong.
No, so wrong, because it's an opportunity for the meeting planners to see you interact with the attendees. And if they're
It's
like, wow, this is
I'm
great, right? They're going to
I'm
want to
so
book
glad
you
you
and
brought
they're going
that
to
up.
tell other people. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for word of mouth that you're the speaker to hire because you not only know your stuff, but you were engaging and you took the time to interact with the audience in a way that brought value. That's inevitable. And that's gold. That's absolute gold for
So
future
good.
meeting planners who are going to book you. And you'd be
Yeah.
able to book it. I mean, and tell me if I'm wrong, because you are absolutely the authority here. When they see that, you can ask for higher fees because of the value that you are providing.
You are so spot on. And I'm so glad you brought this up because that's one of those blind spot areas for me. To me, that's a given. Like everybody should know that, right? But there's so many speakers who don't. I think that they think, Lisa, tell me if I'm, it's a misunderstanding of what authority is. Like they walk in and they walk out because they're the person of authority. And it's so backwards.
Yeah,
What is it? There's a Bible scripture that says, if you want to lead, be the, I'm totally botching this up, but you know, be the foot washer, like so be the
yes,
serve to lead. This is
that's
a
right.
very, very similar concept in that you're so spot on, Lisa. Your next best engagements are going to come from your current engagements. If you show up and leave, you have lost all kinds of opportunity. You've
Yep,
left all kinds of money and really key relationships on the table because they'll remember you for a minute, but not in the way and in the depth of if you would have stuck around, shook hands, been genuine, meet them where they're at, versus up there
that's
on the
good.
stage, eye to eye, then that really sinks in and those other opportunities happen and that data gathering happens. Yes, thank you for bringing that
Exactly.
up. It's so
So
important.
much gold there, so much gold, and so much opportunity that people don't recognize. And I don't understand it, to be honest. If when I'm on a stage, I'm still interacting with my audience. It's like I'm in a room with them. I mean, I'm physically in a room with them. Why wouldn't I want to continue that conversation? Why
Right.
wouldn't I want to continue to be helpful and, like you said, to serve? Why would I just be like, I'm just going to vomit a bunch of stuff on you and then I'm out of here. Where's my check?
Yes.
No. That moves it to transactional, and your meeting planner is going to remember that. If you move it into relationship, experiential, value based, that has stick power, right? That has stickiness. And that meeting planner will tell every other meeting planner, oh, yeah, book that person for sure.
Ooh, I love that. I may just borrow that. Lisa, so
R&D it, rob and
experiential,
duplicate.
relational and experiential versus transactional. Who think of your own life, right? When you move into the transactional, everything changes. The
Ugh,
posture, everything
yeah,
changes, right? Yeah, very, very good.
yeah.
Uh, I had an experience. So, as you know, before I was an agent, I was a producer of very large scale events. And I had this one speaker who would come back every year. He was incredible. Really, really loved him. And this one year, one of his employees, and he had long running employees he was very close to, they were like family. Sadly, their little girl got into some mold underneath a refrigerator, somebody's
No.
house they were visiting, and didn't make it. And
Ugh.
so it was it was devastating. And this particular speaker was on stage when the news came. Then he had a
Ugh.
quick break, and then he had to go back out onto the stage. And he profusely apologized that he would not be staying after his talk to shake hands because this terrible, he didn't go into detail from the stage, but
Yeah.
he had a pressing matter that he just got word of that he was going to have to leave. But I thought, I had so much respect for him.
Oh,
He could have
yeah.
just tried to rush through that last phase, right, and just left. He didn't need to apologize, but he understood the value of that, and that people were genuinely looking forward to that part, to be able to
Oh, for
shake his
sure.
hand.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah, so
Uh,
a real pro understands that for sure.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Unless they're
And
a diva and I'm not interested in working
and
with
there are
or hiring.
unfortunately several of those out there. And that's the other thing that I'd love to get into, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this soon. Um, your authority for your meeting planners start well before you ever have a conversation with that meeting planner. And if you're not taking the time to show up online, show up on LinkedIn, show up in podcasts, do interviews, record videos and put them on YouTube, go on Facebook, whatever the space is where those meeting planners live and those attendees live. If you're not taking the time to invest in that relationship early and often, you're not only missing the engagement with people who would hire you to put you on a stage, you're also missing the engagement with AI. And I have a quick story.
Hmm.
So, a client of mine, and this is true whether it's a meeting planner or a client, it's all very applicable. A client of mine got a call a couple weeks ago for a speaking engagement, and she found out because she said, "Oh, I haven't heard of you before. How'd you find me?" Great question to ask. How'd you find me? And the meeting planner said, "Oh, well, I did an AI search, and it listed 20 people on this topic, but only 4 of them had videos and content that showed the subject matter being discussed and showed the authority." So, as a meeting planner, they need to look at videos to see how well you do on stage and how articulate you are. They have to look at content to see if other people research who you are, that you're the real deal, you're an actual player. And AI pulls all that together. And only 4 out of the 20 had it. Guess where the
Okay.
other 16 went? Right into the trash.
This is this is so timely. Do you know, Lisa? It's okay. First of all, y'all listen to what this woman is saying. She has helped her clients generate over 1.5 billion in new revenue through her guidance. So you've got it right here on SpeakPact. You need to listen to what she's saying, and you're obviously right on top of the times right now. Very
Yeah.
relevant. in real time. I was blown away the other day, Lisa, when I heard this very, I'm not going to name him, but he's a very well-known kind of marketing guru on YouTube. When he said this, I unsubscribed because I do not want advice from anyone who would say this. And I've followed him for a long time, and there's a lot of good that he does. I just don't want to hear something that is so far off, because maybe he's weaving in other things that are far off. But he was asserting that because of AI and because of the way things are these days, you no longer have to be a specialist. You can now be a generalist. And I'm like,
No.
what are you saying?
No. Oh
AI,
God,
if you
no.
confuse AI, you are gone. You are gone. So let's talk about that.
Well, yeah, and think about that statement. If you're a generalist, so is AI. Why would I give you money if I can get it for free?
Right.
That makes no sense. And like you said, AI is looking to categorize you just like everybody else. What category are you going to choose? If you categorize yourself, and again, I don't want to say it's right or wrong. I'm not putting morality on this, good or bad. If you categorize yourself as, and I'm just going to throw out a topic, I'm a transformational leader speaker, or I'm a speaker on resilience. Okay, as a meeting planner, I'm going to put you in an envelope with 10 million other speakers that have that very general term. But if you talk about, um, and I actually have a client that is doing this right now. If instead of resilience, I say, there is compounding grief that transforms. So I actually help you break through compounding grief. And I don't know if you've experienced this. Something happens, and then something else happens, and then something else happens, and you're going, what?
Right.
And
Yep.
it just knocks you down and knocks you down and knocks you down. And she talks on that trans, you know, the tsunami of grief and how to use it to not only get through but to thrive. That's a very specific category. That's a category a meeting planner can go, aha, I understand. I can see how my audience would engage with that. I'm a resilient speaker, well, so is every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there. That's great. But what does that mean for my audience? If you back up into a generalist standpoint, you are losing that edge. Um, I had another interview last week, and the way I described it, think of sunshine. Okay, I live in the beautiful state of Arizona, and right now it's like 1,000 degrees outside, and there's plenty of sunshine. That's great. When you talk through a specific niche, a lens of authority, think about a magnifying glass, and you're taking that sunshine that's all and you're focusing it directly through this lens, and it's going pew right to the ground, and it's this laser of light, and it burns what it hits, and it impacts what it hits. That's your authority. That's that niche. And I know you've said this, riches are in the niches. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not saying that sunlight isn't beautiful, but people see a laser beam a lot faster than just a whole bunch of ethereal light that's out there. And that's what
Yeah.
you're trying to do. You're trying to cut through all sorts of noise that's already out in the universe. I would have unsubscribed as well. My goodness. That's
Yeah,
the
that was
wrong.
so far off, and he's going
No.
for it. Like, he's still really expanding on this. I guess he's trying to be a disruptor. I'm just like, don't do it that way. Oh my gosh, too many
No.
people are going to believe you, and it's so
Yeah.
wrong. Exactly what you just said, and to
Mm.
take it a step further, if pardon me, if you need your cheekbone surgery because you were in some horrible accident, you don't want somebody who specializes in, I don't know, calf surgery or something. You want somebody who specializes in restructuring that cheekbone surgery.
Absolutely.
People, like you said
Absolutely.
earlier, you're bringing them solutions to a problem if you're
Yeah.
doing your job, right? To a problem that's keeping them up at night.
That's right.
So again, they're looking for a laser focused solution to the very real thing that they're facing.
Yeah. And I will say this. I wonder if the way he's trying to position it, a lot of my clients go, but I'm so good at so many things. That's awesome. You want to give your meeting planner, your right fit client, the one thing that they can latch onto. And if you solve that, you've just built trust. And then they'll ask you, well, what else can you do? Because they'll believe that you can help them. But if you throw too many things out there, they don't know what to grab. So they grab nothing because they want to lower their risk. We are in banana sandwiches times where people know they have to do something and they're afraid to make a decision because what if it's the wrong one? What if they waste time? What if they waste money? What if they waste resources? What if they get further away from their goal and they end up having a severe problem? That's what they're afraid of. And they'd rather do nothing than to take a risk. If you are clear about that 3 a.m. problem, you have other things that you can offer later. But that 3 a.m. problem is the one thing that they will take that slight risk for and reach out and grab. And that's what you're trying to get them to do. If you throw everything out, I mean, why would you? Why would you throw money or time at a problem? But if it's that one thing.
You painted that picture really well.
Yeah.
I think there's Seth Godin, right, would be amen in the heck out of us, right, with this Purple Cow book.
That's
but
right.
You really hit on something. I think people are afraid that, well, if I talk about this one thing, then I don't get to talk about the other things that I would also like to really share. Own your core and the rest will find you.
That's
but
right.
This is the difference that I see. Lisa, tell me if you see it a little bit differently. Your core, no one else can replace. You are the go-to. You are the expert in that. You nowhere else, right? Going
That's
back
right.
to Seth Godin's Purple Cow in a Sea of White Cows.
That's right.
You're the one for that.
Yeah.
Now, once they know you, they love your style. Oh, she also does this. Yeah, other people do that too, but we already know and love her. Right. So that's like the
That's it.
outer, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's totally it. So it's building that trust and that relationship and investing in it, but investing in it one solution at a time. Um, if you're trying to, I always go back to if you're on a date and the person's like, let's get married, and you're like, what? But
Whoa.
right, you're like, absolutely not. And they could be the perfect person for you, and you're like, no. But what if you did a coffee date and then you did a dinner date and then you did, right? And you're slowly, it's building that relationship. You can't throw everything at the client at once. I've, and the same is true for the meeting planner. You're not going to get on a stage and talk about 15 things. You're not going to fire hose your audience. My God, please don't do that, because the audience has to catch up with what you're saying. Have one problem that you solve, have 2 or 3 key things that you're going to share so the audience doesn't get overwhelmed. Because if they get overwhelmed, they're going to, even if you're amazing at what you do, they're going to go, well, that talk sucked. That is not something you want to hear. Or, my God, it was so much information. I didn't know where to start. I got overwhelmed. That's almost as bad. You have so much information that you can fire hose out. You have to become a sprinkler instead. And that's where that 3 a.m. problem really helps you to hone that. You've got 45 minutes on the stage. My God, let people catch up to your authority in your area of genius. Give them a chance. Let them win.
Let them win. We're so aligned. And who are you really thinking about when you're fire hosing them? Are you just really wanting to show them everything that you know? Or are you
That's
really
right.
caring that they at least walk away with one executable thing that they could put into practice and then come to you, right? Really a talk
Right.
is the first, hopefully, if you're doing it right, is the first step in a journey. You don't, we call it, well, I constantly say it, don't pour the whole pot of pasta on someone's head. It could be the best, it could be your grandmother's pasta, right? too much is too much. And they can't, if they can't digest it all, they leave with their hands up. Oh, that was really good, but I got to go process. Last way, you want them to just like, wow, that was amazing. Where am I going to find my next? Where, where can I find her for the next
That's
bowl
right.
of nourishment?
That's
And
right.
don't French kiss on the first date. You're building a relationship.
That's
And
right.
how many of us have had relationships that actually lasted where you jumped in too fast, too soon? Right? You've got
Right.
to build that really methodically and intentionally, because each step in that journey is solidifies, right? Makes you unforgettable, makes you more trustworthy. It just, every step is so important. And we're in a fast food society where we just want
Yeah,
to,
we want to skip a bunch of steps, and you're doing your audience a disservice, you're doing the meeting planner a disservice, and you're doing a disservice to yourself if you try to rush the relationship, if you try to, and like you said, if you're fire hosing your audience, you're doing it for you. You're not doing it for them. You've forgotten about them. And when you're on the stage, your audience is the only thing that matters. That's it. It's all about your audience.
they
It's
can
all
read
about
it.
making
They can
yes,
see it a mile away.
that's right. That's
Are you there for
absolutely
them?
right.
Or if you, honestly, like if you're fidgeting or rocking back and forth, which is self-soothing, you're
Yeah,
thinking about you, not them, and
that's
they
right.
see that. So you don't want to leave them feeling sorry for you, having a little pity, or they're nervous. No, you don't
That's
want
right.
that. You definitely don't want them to feel like all you care about is you and your agenda. If they can just, even for the slightest moment, believe that you're there for them,
That's
you
right.
have already a huge inroad to, number one, making a difference, and number one, being asked back, and number two,
Yeah,
being asked back. Now,
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
know, Lisa, you have multiple books, but you have a new work out that I feel, yeah, there we go. If you're watching video, you can see them on YouTube, but otherwise, definitely look Lisa up, and we will have her in the show notes, and we'll introduce how to get a hold of her here in a moment. But you've got a new work out, Persuade with a Digital Content Story. I'm really interested in understanding what you mean by that, because we've all heard storytelling and persuading through story, but how do how does that translate to digital
Yes,
content?
absolutely. So, and actually, that book came out in 2021, and it was actually voted one of the top content marketing books in the world to read
Ah,
in
wow, wow, wow.
2021. So, super, super
Great.
excited.
Okay. So
And the
fairly new, depending on
still
what new.
fairly new. And the tenets in the book are still so relevant today. Number one, when you're on a stage, storytelling matters. Your story matters. People won't remember concepts, but they will remember stories because people are hardwired for stories. As a producer, you know how, TV, movies, it all follows a certain storyline, and Hollywood is a couple $1 billion industry, several $1 billion, so they must be doing
They
something right.
might know a thing or two.
I might know a couple of things, might. But where a lot of people miss the opportunity to make the story persuasive is they talk in terms of what they do instead of what the client got out of the relationship. So I'll give you an example. You could be talking about, um, let's say, you talk about safety. Safety is a big one, right? And you're on the stage and you're talking about how you did this or you do that or this is your process. Boring, snooze fest. But if you have a story and you talk about how you worked with a client and by following your process, these are the results they got. You're doing two things. You're making it about your audience. We keep saying that over and over and over. Stop making it about you. The story has nothing to do with you. It has to do with your audience and what they would get out of hiring you, putting you on a stage, interviewing you on a podcast, whatever. And the second thing is by talking about what that client got, your your audience will picture themselves in that role. They'll see themselves crossing that finish line with you. That's an emotional connection that you cannot fake. You cannot fake it. They need to feel that they're relatable to you and to that story. And when they can see themselves in the story crossing that finish line, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to remember it, and they're going to want to have that actual experience. You've just helped to shape the relationship, reduce the risk, and build that trust.
Mm. So important. And I think a lot of people will say, well, I don't have case stories of my own just yet. But you can borrow other people's case stories, like
That's
case
right.
studies. You can
The story
borrow.
police are not going to show up and say, that's not accurate. You can have creative license. And the thing is, I would be hard pressed for anyone, even if you're just starting out as a consultant, as a speaker. You know your area of genius because you've experienced it. You can take your own story and put it into third person. You can combine two clients together. That's okay. It's because at the end of the day, it's about the results that you provide and helping them see the results that you provide.
Well, and even staying like totally true to any given story. Let's say just totally down the line, true to a given story. I just read about ABC person going through DEF, and I know had they done XYZ, something you teach, the outcomes could have very, very solidly been different. Because look
That's
at this
right.
other person over here that I read about who did XYZ, and their outcomes were very different. Like you can grab real life stories and
Yeah.
weave them in to your journey. And something that I would love to see people do, whether it's on a free app like Trello or just a spreadsheet on the homepage of their phone, gather those little observations throughout the day, gather those stories right throughout your week. Don't
That's
think
right.
you're going to remember them, because you won't. And you don't have to write the whole story, just a few key things and where you were and the date to
Yeah.
kind of jog the memory of that scenario that you went through. Because going back to what we were saying before, Lisa, you need to be known for a core. That also means don't change up your talk so much that people get whiplash, but you
Exactly.
support that talk with fresh stories, with
That's
fresh
right.
observations that relate to the particular audience that
Yeah.
you're in front of.
Yeah. And I like to do the 2-to-1 rule, 2 stories per point. And I
Oh,
always
this is
start
good.
my
I've never
point
heard this, so
with a
do that.
story. Yeah.
Okay,
So
say
I
that one more time.
always, the 2-to-1 rule, 2 stories for every point that I'm trying to get across. So if I have 3 points, I like to do the rule of threes. So if I have 3 points, I'm going to have 6 stories. Each point starts with a story. I want to get, I want to grab them by the stories. I want to get my audience's attention, right? Grab them by the stories and have them go, oh yeah. And let's say, well, I only have one story for that point. You can break up the story and do part of the story at the beginning, leave it as a little cliffhanger, do your point, and then finish the story. That still counts as two in my book because you've split it up. Either of those ways works, but make sure that you're incorporating stories. And to me, doing the story first before I go into my point also makes me calmer when I speak. I don't have to have something scripted because I know my stories and I can change the details a little bit. And again, if I screw up a little bit, the story police are not going to run on stage and grab me and haul me to jail, right to jail. They're not going to do that. I can lean into it. I can also modify, and I love doing this, I can modify my story details to match my audience. If I'm speaking and I'm going to throw this out because I applied for a keynote speech at the Dive Association. I think it's called DEMA
Mm.
in New Orleans. My stories are going to be about dive shops and those types of people that are attending. I'm going to modify my stories so that they're relatable. I'm not going to talk about an attorney at a dive convention because they're going to go, well, what does that have to do with me? So it's okay to modify your stories so that it fits your audience. And you can then incorporate language that your audience is familiar with, terms, slang, whatever, that you're also a little comfortable with, to be able to make it more sticky, more relatable.
Yeah, so many gems there. Right on. Okay, I know at this stage of the talk, there are plenty of the Speak Pact audience that want to know, how do I find Lisa Apolinski? Lisa Apolinski, I will spell her name in a moment, but go ahead and tell us how you like to be found.
Yes, so easiest way to not only connect with me, but to get a bunch of free stuff that I give away. I give away so much stuff, it's almost criminal. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Lisa Apolinski on there. Really easy to find me. Subscribe to my newsletter. I give away a lot of content. And
She has
if you
great
connect,
newsletters. She does.
yeah. And if you connect with me on LinkedIn, drop me a note and say, hey, I heard you. Um, and I would love to talk to you. And I always provide a free 30-minute consult call where I learn more about who you serve and the problem you solve, and see what I can do even in the five or so minutes, 10 minutes after our call, to make a connection, make an introduction, send you a book, what have you, just to help you move the needle forward. Please, please, please leverage that. A lot of people will say they give away free consult calls and then try to sell you something. It is an absolute no cost, no selling, no kidding zone.
Yeah, you are very generous. So definitely look Lisa Apolinski up. It's Lisa, Apolinski.
That's right.
Apolinski, for those who are just listening in. Look her up on LinkedIn. And if you can't find her, go to my LinkedIn and you could just connect through there. Also, when you DM her, let her know you heard her on the Speak Pact show, so that she can connect the dots. But she's very generous, so definitely check her out. Okay, Lisa, what is, in just the few minutes we have remaining, what is your number one advice? This isn't the challenge that's coming next, but to the emerging speaker, maybe the author that wants to step more into speaking, or the professional in whatever field that they're in. They've been speaking in the line of their work, but they want to step into their own. How do they begin languaging all the different places that people can go to learn about them? How do they begin languaging that so that it merges into one core brand instead of fragmented pieces of what could be a brand?
So, my number one advice to help humans see your category of one and AI see your category of one is to, again, look at that 3 a.m. problem and the unique set of solutions that you bring to the table, and try to see if you can pull out a phrase, a few words, something that can help differentiate you into a category of one. And AI can actually help you with this, especially if you tell them your process and everything. They can help you with honing that language. I had a call yesterday with a gentleman who I met on a panel that I did, or a speaking gig that I did for Speaks Skills for Startup, which is a London-based organization, and I'm actually a board member, which is very exciting. And he said the one thing I took out of your talk was be consistent. If you pick 2 or 3 words, use them constantly. Be consistent. I'm like, that is the best summary I've ever heard. Absolutely. Consistency is key. If you ask my boyfriend, what does your girlfriend do? He will say, without blinking, she is the authority on authority power.
No
He knows
confusion.
it. Yeah.
No
So the
confusion.
evil plan is working. So this is what we want to help our audience do. And I've been doing digital marketing for a minute. I started in 1997. So I've been doing this for a little bit of time. And back in the day when I first started, it was like 5 or 6 touch points to get someone to associate who you are, what you want to be known for with what you want to who you want to be known to, like actually make connecting those dots. Now it's like 80. They need to be told 80 times who you are and what problem you solve, and you have to say it over and over and over. If you feel like you're kicking a dead horse, you're probably about halfway there. Keep going.
Okay, this is so important, especially as we close, because I think that we hear ourselves so often that we might feel like we need to get a little creative. There's ways, like what you were saying about the story, there's ways to get creative saying the same thing, but don't try to be original and go
Now,
here and go there. Not only are you confusing AI and confusing your audience, you're confusing your brand, but you're also kind of confusing yourself. Like, what
that's
are
right.
you
Yeah.
really? And people,
Clarity over cleverness
for sure.
every single time. Don't fall into the clever. You don't have to be clever. Be clear.
And they wanna
Clear, clear,
know that
clear.
you know what
That's
you're
right.
an authority in. They
That's
wanna
right.
know when when you go to a certain person over another, it's for a certain reason because
That's
they
right.
are really good at ABC. And if
That's
all of
right.
a sudden you're talking about, you're a brand expert now talking about, I don't know, how to train Great Pyrenees, like, "Oh, you're an you switched?
Yeah.
You're an
Yeah.
expert on something else now?" And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't use a story about training your Great Pyrenees on something to illustrate a brand, but it
That's right.
always has to go back to you are solid and non-negotiable in what your core is. You're all in so they can trust that you're on
Yep.
top of it and you know what you're talking about. You're not a dabbler. You're really going to help them get to that center. So I love that you brought that up because I think that people think to build an authority, they've got to be original and flashy and
No.
unexpected.
No. Be clear. No
Clear.
one's clear
They're not
anymore.
clever.
Yeah. Don't make people guess. If they have to guess, they're moving on to the next person.
They're gone.
Make it smack them right between the eyes with what you do and why you do it well, and own it.
Well,
Own
write
that
that one
narrative.
down. If they have
Yeah.
to guess, they're gone. If they
Yeah.
have to guess, they're gone. Yep, that's so true.
Yeah.
Because that's not even just with your audience. That's with the decision makers whose jobs are
Absolutely.
on the line to choose you over the 20 other people wanting your spot.
That's
And if
right.
you're
And
not
think about,
clear, yeah,
yeah, and exactly. And think about, and I don't know if you've actually been in a room where it's several meeting planners and then you have the association group, right, for the conference. And they each bring their own keynote that they want to book. If they're like, oh, wait, I got to look. If they're like, she's the authority and she does this, and they're like, yeah, and it's very clear, they own it as well. They're your voice in that room to get booked.
yeah,
So make it easy for them to sell
make it easy
you.
for them. Yeah, they want to be they want to be that Superman, Superwoman,
That's
who
right.
picked the best one. But
That's
you
right.
brought up a really good point. If they can't even explain you, like your boyfriend can, in 3 words, 3, 4 words, explain you,
Yep.
that those decision makers should be able to bring you to the table. It's like, I don't know why you'd look anywhere else because she's the go-to on this, right? Yep.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is there something, Lisa, that you can leave the Speak Pact audience with today on our universal journey to make the greatest impact with the power of our voices through speaking that we can, that would move the dial for them in really establishing, owning, right, and establishing their most clear, most powerful authority brand?
If there's one thing that I would tell the audience to do right now, and for me, it's without a doubt one of the most powerful things you can do to move the needle immediately. And they're already meeting planners are searching for fall and winter. So this is the time. make sure that you have real understanding of that 3 a.m. problem, and then reverse engineer how your solution solves that problem. Understand that link and lean into it. Talk about it a lot. People aren't hiring you for the activity. They're hiring you for the results that you're going to provide. And on a stage, you have 45 minutes to get them to that result. If you don't have real clarity around, this is the problem, this is the solution, this is how I solve it, boom, 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 why would anyone put you on a stage? That's what people want. They want to walk out of that session going, I'm empowered, I'm ready to do this, I feel like I can handle it. And if I am unsure, or if I'm like, that was great and I need help, they'll call you. So that's also what we talked about, right? That it's not just the payment you get for being on that stage. You can easily make additional revenue with a workshop, with a mastermind, with one-on-one coaching. All of that revenue follows.
And that will always outpay, even if you got a $25,000, $35,000 talk check, the audience and the resulting opportunities will always outpace the pay that you got. Earlier you said something, get paid to speak. One thing I like to say is, so there's paid talks, and then there's talks that pay. Those are very different concepts, and you need to be working both sides of that table, or you're leaving a lot of money on that table.
Yes. And I know Mark LeBlanc says this, and I think you've said it as well. You talk for fee, you talk for fit, or you talk for favor. Fee, fit, or favor. And a lot of people miss the fit. They think fees, 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 fees. I must get $10,000 speaking gig. That if it's a target-rich environment where you could be making 10 times what your fee would be, would you be willing to put your money on the line to say, I know I can solve this problem, and I'll go in at a much reduced rate because I know I will get business on the back end because I'm that good? Or do you want to get your money up front, and if you don't deliver, oh well?
Yeah. Why not both? Do it. You can even work at both. Yeah, I love that. Speaking of fees, make sure, dear SpeakPact listeners, that you do not miss 3 days with me talking all about how to monetize your speaking career. Not just to talk, not just that keynote check, but all the different ways to do that and multiply those opportunities. SpeakerRevenueLab.com, SpeakerRevenueLab.com. Definitely catch that with me. It is coming up. If you missed the last one, you can catch this next one coming up. Make sure to check that out. Make sure to check out Lisa Apolinski on LinkedIn. You will gather so much from her generosity and her years of experience back in the 90s, right? There, you've seen every different way that it's worked, but the foundations never change. And if people try to get too clever about the foundations, that's sure failure. That's sure sign that that's just going to be here today, gone tomorrow. But you really understand the industry. Thank you for being so generous with sharing that hard-earned wisdom with the SpeakPact community today, Lisa.
Thank you, Antoniette. This was wonderful.
And for our beautiful SpeakPact people, make sure to like, share, do all the things, post it forward, and we will see you on the next episode. Ciao, ciao for now.
Thank you for listening to the SpeakPact podcast. To become a recommended speaker of Antoniette's WPC speaker agency, or you are a host or planner looking for a dynamic expert in optimized performance, Antoniette would like to personally meet with you. Secure a time with her at speakerbooker.com. Again, that is speakerbooker.com. It all begins with a vision, a voice, and a pact to impact. Join the SpeakPact movement by joining our new private Facebook group at the link in our show notes. Find us on nearly every social media platform at One Antoniette. That's number 1, ANTONIETTE, or simply hashtag SpeakPact.